All right, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 694, and we are recording on November the 8th. And once again, this week, Aubriana is off. We're very excited to have Karsten again, 2 weeks in a row. And we're both on the road this week. How are you?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. And yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Actually, I'm in the circle at the airport of Zurich. So we had a conference yesterday where we attended good friends of us, a regional partner down in Switzerland. We do multiple events with the LBMA together. And now she has a new format called What's Next Forum, actually the Google headquarter in Zurich. And what I learned is that they have 5,000 people on site there, which is a lot. And obviously, a lot of development in terms of maps are going on in Zurich. So that was good for us. Be there. Good show at all. Focused on enterprise businesses here down in Switzerland. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm sitting in this circle and looking at the airport right now.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm also on the road. I'm in Chicago. And yesterday attended the Street Fight Live conference, the first one they've done since COVID. So they're finally coming back with live events. We know what that's like with our retail logos, obviously. So a good event hosted at the Meta headquarters here in Chicago. So interesting office space and cool place to be as well. So sounds like we're both doing and checking out interesting places. So all right, well, we have four
Absolutely.
stories to cover this week, and since you're in Aubriana's role, I'm going to let you start us off as usual, and go from there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. And also, it's a pleasure to highlight a German company. So, a German frozen pizza brand called Gustavo Gusto, this is what we pronounce it, saw a 62% sales jump after using in-store ads for their actual Ghostbusters pizza-themed pizza. So, the campaign was run on selected Edeka, this is a local grocery chain, supermarkets, and showing video ads with scenes from the Ghostbusters movie. And after 2 weeks, sales in these stores were much higher than in similar stores without these ads. So usual good campaigns increases maybe by 15 to 25%, so they say, but the 62% boost was a surprise. So for Gustavo Gusto, it shows the power of targeted consumers can help them to buy, but also it shows that partnering with big brands and licenses have a direct effect on the increase of sales. So teaming up with Ghostbusters and the movie and paying the licenses fee, however the deal is, both directions, is obviously helping. So for us, discussion questions. So how can location-based marketers use in-store ads now? Because a lot of our members are in this space now very active, targeting, highlighting it, and seeing those kind of developments may help a lot. So what about your thoughts about it?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we know retail media networks is probably one of the hottest topics in our industry today. At the conference here yesterday, Vistar gave a presentation, and they're powering, they say, 70% of the retail media networks globally. So that's a big number behind the scenes. And we also had a speaker from Criteo. Talking about the role that they're playing here. So I think there's a lot going on in this space. I think retailers are jumping at it, all of them, and trying to find ways that they can find additional revenue from selling screen inventory within their stores. I think from a location perspective, there's a lot to be done still in the programmatic side, in understanding who the audience is, and then of course the attribution measurement of performance. So, I mean, it's great to be able to say, hey, we ran this campaign and we saw a 62% lift, comparing a store doing it to a store not doing it. That's great. But like, what do we know about these people and their behavior and those kinds of things? I'm sure there's other data there that can be drawn from this. But I think obviously a great campaign and great results. So would love to see how we can get these guys involved maybe in retail local in Munich. since they're there.
Absolutely. So having some free pizzas would be awesome. So one part of the story, but others a part of the story, I think we have to also dig a bit more deeper, connecting the dots, because what we have now, we have retail media in store, we have this in-store media networks, we have the programmatic distributors of advertisement in this space. You named a couple of them in the intro. Connecting those dots now with a location component can be super helpful. So just seeing this ad is kind of following you into the store and after the score, and then you have kind of a customer journey out of it, or experience journey,
Mm.
because it's more about experience now than and less about the product. So that will be a super location based tool, and maybe generates more revenue than just having a simple ad running, which is obviously helping, but connecting the dots from our perspective as location-based marketing association will help a lot.
Yeah, for sure, and I think there's still it's still early days in this space, right? I know everybody's doing it, and there's a lot of experimentation happening, but I think there's still a lot of room for growth and new ways to measure and new approaches to reach that audience. So but great to see it happening. It's not just a North American thing; it's happening obviously everywhere in the world, and um, you know, finding good results there as well. So cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, moving to our next story then. So we're going to talk, staying in, over in the continent over there. We are going to jump over to Sweden now and talk about our friends at H&M. And interestingly enough, H&M, I would say in the early days of the LBMA, going back to maybe 2012, 13, 14, they were doing a lot of digital innovation. They were doing a lot of cool things in Stockholm in particular, with big billboards connected to mobile devices. And, they've kind of haven't done that for some time. And so now they've kind of come back to that market, and they've launched this new flagship store that is packing all of the latest technology together. So this is in Drottninggatan. I don't know if I said that right, in Stockholm. So the big kind of central, downtown market area in Stockholm. And so they built this store, and it's got, kind of all the things that we talk about in terms of in-store retail, digital innovation, all sort of packed together. So LED shop windows, digital in-store, screens and signage, media network type stuff that we're talking about. They've got similar stores in New York and Seoul, but obviously doing this, sort of at home and in Sweden, I think is interesting. They have the fitting rooms in the stores are all equipped with smart screens that identify customers' selected items, including size and color. They use RFID technologies in there, and they provide personalized product and styling recommendations to you while you're in the fitting room through these screens. And then on the screens, you can also request items, to have an employee bring you like another size or a different color or, something like that. So you don't have to leave the fitting room to go find a different one. And you can even from the screens, punch out to the e-commerce site and buy online, if you want, with one click there. So, bringing all this kind of technology that we've talked about, for a few years now in different settings, but all in one place. And the other thing that they've done sort of to, kind of tap into the retail entertainment or experiential part of the business, that we see now, because, obviously you can buy anything online, but, creating experiences that drive traffic to the physical stores, I think is great. And so they've expanded their beauty area as well, their beauty products area. And you can go in there and you can have your nails done. They have an H&M nail lab in the store. And there's some lady who's, I don't know, apparently a nail, influencer or icon or something called Frida Selkirk. Never heard of her, obviously. It's not my my area, but she's created this thing in partnership with them and around this nail lab. And so, there's a reason to go there. There's an experience there, and they do eyebrows and eyelashes and all sorts of other things as well. So it's a full-on experience at H&M, and packing a lot of digital technology into the store. So
Yeah, the interesting thing is now, so before COVID, there were a lot of activities around that, how we can digitalize the physical store. What about screens to help you to decide the right size, the right colors, those kind of things. But if you look into what happened afterwards, but they're more or less were gone because of retail was struggling and also footfall was down. Interesting to see that a brand like H&M, which is not as price well, so expensive. So it's not a luxury brand at the end. It's jumping into that things and solving problems. And for me, it's an indicator that they have done something else good, and it's about the inventory, because you can only use those kind of systems if you know what item are in stock, is the color available. Imagine you're standing in this fitting room and just want to have a scarf and the scarf is not here or the color is not there. So then it's turning from a good experience immediately into a bad one. And so they did obviously something good in the inventory side, which is great to see. And yeah, rolling it out in flagship stores is always a good sign. But bring it to the field, out to thousands of stores, is a different topic for sure. Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Let's go to our third story. So our friends from Uberall, longtime partners of the LVMA. Location-based performance. This is the overall topic right now. And Uberall is specialized in location marketing, and it has announced a new plan, which called location performance optimization. So they shorten it LPO, and they will start it in 2025. So this plan aims to help businesses turn their online presence into a tool that directly boosts sales in their physical locations. So the combination between on and offline again. And Uberall is introducing their three main things. First, so next generation analytics. So they created this LPS, so location performance score, in the past, that combines visibility, reputation, and customer engagement into one easy to understand number. So this helps businesses to see how well their locations are doing. If you have multiple locations, even more important, and how this affects their revenue, so their advertising spendments. Second, as always, AI is jumping into the field. So Uberall is using artificial intelligence to make marketing tasks easier. Their AI assistance, so they claim it, can help businesses write better descriptions, suggest social media content, and improve their online profiles automatically. So this saves money and effort. And honestly, from my point of view, also the consistency and quality. So, and lastly, as mentioned before, the LPO certification program. So they will have a certification on their location performance optimization. I have to learn this term now. And they're offering training and certification for marketers to learn how to use these new tools and the strategies effectively. So Uberall is believing that more people are using phones to search the near me places, so what's around me, and therefore it's super important that the local businesses connect their online presence with what happens in their store. Yeah, by this LPO scoring. So that's the news. Question for me is, how important is for businesses to link their online presence directly? Do we have to educate them? So what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously these, Uberall has been at this for a long time. I think this is, a good move by them. I think it's a good industry positioning piece to create a scoring system. I think, we're in an age where, it's always been important to measure, but I think brands and agencies, are really looking for ways to understand performance, right? And it's one thing to say, somebody's searching for pizza near me, and is my pizza place showing up in the top 5 or 10, search engine results. It's another thing to say, how often does it show up, and how many people are clicking on that, and what kind of performance am I getting from that? So I think creating a scoring system, on the performance, I think is useful. And then the AI side of it, I find super interesting. I mean, No, you're way ahead of me, Karsten, on playing around with all these different tools that are out there now. I need to spend more time on that myself. But yesterday I saw a fascinating presentation from Meta, who was hosting this conference I was at, and they were sharing all of their new AI tools that they've built for advertisers. So these are for people who are buying advertising on Meta platforms, but they're all about content generation. So they've created new tools that are voiced voice to image generation. You can upload an image, for an ad or a post that you want to run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and they can then auto generate the captions and the text for that. They can take the image that you upload and create 17 different versions with different backdrops based on guidance that you're giving in a chat GPT like framework. They're powering a lot of other platforms with their language around this, including Amazon is using some of their stuff to do that. So I think there's a lot happening in that space, and especially when you're looking at small businesses who are using, location search optimization type of platforms, be it, Uberalls or Yext or Rios or these kinds of platforms. A, you want to be able to measure it, and B, if you can use AI to make it easier for people, and on the content generation side in particular, then I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So very similar to my experience yesterday at the Google headquarters here down in Zurich. So the first presentation from Google was obviously, okay, these are our new AI tools. They renamed it again, so which makes more confusion than clearness. That's a different part of the story, but obviously this is what happens right now. And there was a tool set from around, so I took a picture of 15, 20 different AI tool sets you can use as a marketer to optimize your advertisement in Google and also play around on Google Cloud and build your own services. And this is something I will really question for us as an association, because what's happening again is, okay, we will drop with this new technologies and tools and things like that, and nobody really understands what they're used for, and
Yeah.
also don't understand, because they all start with this fancy freemium model. So yeah, let's try it out, build your business on it, and what does it mean in the next step? So what are the prices for it? And we have to educate definitely in a different way marketeers than we did it before. Reason therefore is quite simple. So as we had it 10 years ago, 8 years ago, where the first chief innovation officer came into the company. So I think now it's time to think about a dedicated person who's taking care about AI stuff and what does it mean for the different departments you have to run in your company, on your enterprise. And there, right now, it's like confusion overall. So it's like this, the names, what they use for the pricing model. So it's just like, wow, what should I use and why, and what I should using tomorrow. So those kind of things are very, yeah, hard to understand. And also, just think about, I'm not want to go in the same direction what we had with online advertising in the early stages. So nobody knew how effective it was and how much it costs. And then there was ad fraud, still ad fraud out there. We know there's problems. So maybe we have in the future AI fraud because companies get richer and richer for something you don't know what you buy for. So education, I think, is a huge topic for us. Let's bring that to the table, also to the board for our conference, our upcoming. So yeah.
Great. Okay, on to our final story now. So we're going to jump over to India this time and talk about a company called ToneTag. So this is an interesting technology. There's been a few players in this space over the years. And what we're talking about here is voice-based commerce and payments technology. So, using audio signals and things like that to facilitate a secure payment transaction. And so they built this thing. It's called an IoT node. It's basically like a sound box or a speaker, like a small little, Bluetooth speaker kind of thing. Yeah, so basically they are able to look at replacing, POS terminals and card machines, with this type of, sound payment device. So in India, they have 45 million retail merchants who need to use digital payments, they say. And they're rolling these soundbox technologies out there. They say it's much better than a traditional sort of POS type of terminal because it eliminates the need for a constant server communication. So the reliability is better. The cost is much lower. They don't have the same, processing fees, associated with that. So, for a lot of merchants, this becomes, something that's, a lot easier to work with. And then if you plug it into a building system that you have, then it can also capture the SKU level data, product inventory information, and purchase transaction data as well. In terms of what you're doing there. So anyhow, they're saying that they've seen a huge increase in app usage, leveraging this technology. The other thing is to know about ToneTag is they are owned by or backed by Amazon. So and they're also in talks now with a company called Iron Pillar to raise $50 million. So like I said, I think it's an interesting space. We don't hear a lot about using sound, as a secure payments technology. There's another company we talked about a lot on the LBMA network back in the days called Listener, which is LISNR. There's no E in there. They're still around as well in this space. So, I think it's one of those where, I think I'll say I see the value in it. I see the sort of efficiencies that it can create, but I think it's a hard road to go down. Like I think there's so many players in the traditional POS and terminals and transactions spaces that it can be tough to kind of gain any kind of market share in this, right? And I think that's why, we don't hear a lot about Listener. We don't hear a lot about these kinds of companies, even though there's a lot of efficiencies and innovation that, can be brought, from this type of technology, right? And the fact that Amazon's backing it doesn't, say a lot to me either, because Amazon's also, they have, pay with your face and pay with your palm and pay with, all sorts of other technologies that, they're, using in their stores and other things. So, so I like it from a technology and IP and innovation perspective, but I think it's a hard road to go down in terms of gaining market share.
Yeah, there's a second layer of the story, and you mentioned already there are many players around in the payment industry, and those terminals and infrastructure is always calculated with a runtime for a couple of years, so 6 to 8 years or something like that. If there's a new terminal POS system out there, integrating something new, first of all, needs a lot of time because when the next renewal comes, first thing. Second thing, it's Germany, yes, but data policies, also the regulations they have in the market for transactions is totally different story than for marketing. So marketing usage. So I remember back in the days, there was a company who was detecting, the conversation in stores and then say, okay, well, those people obviously are angry. Maybe somebody can help them or see is there something happening in terms of they didn't find what there is. So IKEA did at that time. So they had all this microphones down there. So that was the kind of West 10 years ago. So, but advertising, different story. But for banking and finance, secure environment, it can be additional layer in terms of to secure that this is your thumb or your face if you use it. And then you have a voice, you have three things together, makes it more because it's a unique identifier. So your voice is different than my voice, and you cannot manipulate it as good as something else. So yes and no. Going into the payment space, I don't know why. I'm not getting it yet, but we will see. Ask them.
Yeah. All right. Very good. So that's our 4 stories for this week. Everybody, we thank you as always for your time, for sharing, for listening to what we have to say every week. If you have story ideas, reach out to us, please. We are always happy to connect. If you're an LBMA member company, please definitely let us know what you're doing. Share your news so we can share it with the community at large. Yeah, I mean, we just love to hear from you. Give us some feedback on whatever podcast channel you're consuming this, and we'll see you next week with another show. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.